Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? It is really, really freaking cold here in Connecticut. This video is not about that, but my car's heater core isn't all that great either. Right now it's really cold in my car. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about character failure. And when your characters fail, how do you narrate that in a way that's congruent with the fiction? You know, and I was thinking about this because I made that video yesterday, and this morning Jason posted a video in our private Facebook group. A few of us watched that this morning. We commented on it, and the discussion kind of went in the direction of character failure and why characters fail. And they fail because you roll the dice and they fail, right? But how we narrate that can be really important, because if you do it in such a way that is not doesn't line up with the character concept, doesn't line up with the tropes, doesn't line up with the genre, that can just end up feeling wrong. So, Jason was using this example of the character he's going to be playing in this game. We're going to be playing Uncharted Worlds, and he's going to be playing this technocrat mechanic. And there's no playbooks in this game. You actually build your character based upon their backgrounds, and he's from a technocrat planet, and then their careers, and so he chose mechanics. So, the bottom line is, the character concept, both from Jason and from the fiction, is he's going to be this very competent mechanic. So in a way, it's going to be kind of like Scotty, where this guy is going to get things right for the most part. The idea of him failing at some kind of simple check probably won't happen. So where Jason's talking about the idea that maybe he's trying to fix a mech that we really need, or the characters really need operational, and they're in the middle of this firefight, so it's kind of difficult, and so he rolls a miss. And so I kind of quip right off the top of my head. Well, it could be that you could just say, oh well, he fails, and maybe he's just under duress, so it's tough. Maybe as Angel said, it's something that was just so tough that nobody could do this, and he was attempting the impossible and he missed, which is one way to handle that. Or it could be this thing where you almost got it. He turns around, Jason. You turn to the fellow and say, I got it, guys. You can hear it humming back to life, but he's left the plate off, because he's going to screw that back on now. That covers the CPU, and a stray bullet in the firefight just hits the CPU and knocks this thing out. That's one way to narrate that failure, and also insert a Powered by the Apocalypse GM move at that particular point. But it reminded me of things that Complex Games Apologist has talked about. When you're playing that modifius Star Trek game, where it is emulating the feel of Star Trek. He talks about the idea that there's not skills as such in that, because you're spacemen, for crying out loud. You are members of Starfleet. You are assumed to be incredibly competent in a wide range of things. So it's not as he mentioned. I forget if it was a private video or a public one. You don't have the option to say, "Oh, I just really haven't studied geology, sir. I don't know anything about that." That's not on the table. So there's different ways to narrate failure in a game like that. Even something like you're going to play some old school D&D, and I've made mistakes. And I talked about this years ago about this one time I was playing with a player, and they failed to pick a lock. And I had an NPC character in the group, and the guy, from a mechanical standpoint, it all made sense. That player failed to pick the lock. The NPC was able to go in behind them, make a check, and they picked the lock. This is a little bit different because the player kind of felt like their spotlight time had been violated. And I understand, I wouldn't handle it that way again. But there would be other ways I could narrate that, where this guy was still supposed to be a rather competent lockpick, and maybe just something was amiss. Maybe his lockpick broke. Maybe there was something where the other guy noticed this one thing and said, "Hey, I think I can help you here. Your pick broke. Here, use mine." Something like that. And it depends. But just because a character fails doesn't mean you necessarily have to narrate it as, "Well, you fail." End of story. You can make it entertaining. You can have a lot of fun with it. And if there's a particular genre or concept that you're trying to emulate or enforce, then it's really important. How do you narrate that? How you narrate the failure, just as important as how you narrate the successes. I don't think it would be. Sometimes it's kind of funny when Philippe Moreau tries to climb up the wall of the Louvre and just slips and falls. But there's other times when he fails to do something, that we have to be careful of how we narrate a musketeer failing, if that makes any sense. But anyhow, dinner is ready. I'm gonna go eat some dinner because I have to rush out pretty soon. But what do you think about all that?